Hi everyone, hope you are doing all right. Sorry for that delay. I was on a trip and that's why I couldn't be able to upload different kind of videos. So sorry about that. And today it's science time and we will be talking about the urine formation, or let's say the kidneys function IGCSE course. In the last part, we talked about the urea cycle, so don't forget to check it out, since for understanding the concept, the aspect that we will be talking about it in the next slides is pretty much very important and very related to the last topic, to our last video, so don't forget to check it out. So before going to this video, I will be asking you to subscribe my channel. Don't forget to like and drop a comment, drop your reaction, and feel free to ask any educational questions that came to your mind, and I will be answering them all. So a quick reminder at first, as we talked about in our last video, as these protein molecules are broken down into amino acids, it will be transported to the liver in the hepatic portal vein. That amino acid which is being collected in the liver, including nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, these are the base units of protein molecules, will be converted into carbohydrates and ammonia. So that carbohydrate, indeed, it is going to be stored inside the organ as glycogen, and it's something which is all the times useful for the body. And as you know, the carbohydrates, oxygen is present, carbon is present, and also hydrogen is present, but nitrogen is not present in carbohydrates. So in that case, as we know, ammonia, which is known as NH3, nitrogen is included. So let's say in some kind of words, ammonia is it can be known as the nitrogen containing substance. That ammonia will be converted into urea, the useless substance, the toxic material, and trace amounts of uric acid and the ammonia itself. Finally, this urea with these tiny substances, tiny amounts of ammonia and uric acid, will be flowed back inside the bloodstream. Don't forget this. It won't be exerted by the liver. It is going to be exerted by the kidney, that we will be talking about it in details in the next slides. This process is also known as deamination. As I said, the removal of nitrogen containing parts of amino acid to form urea, because as you know, protein molecules, they contain nitrogen in which carbohydrates don't. So in that case, the ammonia will be containing nitrogen, which it is going to be converted into urea and then being flowed back in the bloodstream. So, like an open discussion, how kidney works. Kidney is the exact place in which the urea is going to be exerted, not formed, guys, exerted. This process is going to get involved in 3 steps that we will be talking about them in details. First, filtration, second, reabsorption, and the last part, secretion, which all are going to take place in the nephron, that we will be talking about it in the next slides. As you can see the picture of these 2 kidneys having the same function, they are not having different functions at all. At first, the first step, filtration. As the blood enters the kidney, it actually enters the glomerulus, which is within the cortex. And what is a cortex? Cortex is the outer region of the kidney. This is not the aspect that we are going to talk about it in this presentation. It's only for extra information that as the blood enters the kidney, it actually enters directly inside the glomerulus, which glomerulus is a network of capillaries. Plenty of capillaries are there inside the glomerular, or let's say in other words, Bowman's capsule. So in glomerulus is surrounded inside the glomerular capsule. There are tiny gaps on the outer layer of capillaries, as you know, which makes the tiny substances to come out, to leak out, including salt, carbohydrates, water, urea, and also small protein molecules. but the large protein molecules and red blood cells are going to remain inside the bloodstream. Don't forget that some IGCSE teenagers are saying that everything inside the blood, or let's say almost everything inside the blood, is going to be leaked out. It is going to be pushed outside the capillaries, but that's incorrect. The large protein molecules and red blood cells are going to remain inside the bloodstream. The product which is going to be collected inside the glomerular capsule is known as the filtrate. And also, there is also a name known as filtrate in chemistry, that the thing which is going to be collected in the process of filtration, which is known as the filtrate. As an extra information, the filtrate will be entering the proximal tubule for other steps to take place. As you can see in the picture, the glomerulus, the Bowman's capsule, which can be known as the outer layer of the glomerulus. That means the glomerulus is inside the Bowman's capsule, and that green part, which in general it is known as the renal tubule, but in details as an extra information, it can be known as the proximal tubule. And now reabsorption. Now the filtrate will be entering the renal tubule. There are thousands of capillaries inside the kidney, and it's not only the glomerulus which the capillaries are present inside the kidney, which other capillaries are also being located beside the renal tubule. There are some substances inside the filtrate that they are still useful for the body. That means they are still required and they are not useless. They are not needless. So in that case, they will be reabsorbed inside the bloodstream by the capillaries, including all carbohydrates and smaller proteins, some salts and water molecules. Therefore, the direction is from the tubule to the capillaries. So don't forget, it's pretty much very important, very crucial, very significant that all carbohydrates and small proteins are going to be reabsorbed, but not all water molecules and not all salt molecules are going to be reabsorbed. Some are going to be exerted, the ones that they are not needed, they are not useful, and the ones that they are still required, they will be reabsorbed. For example, that water that has been filtered out from the glomerulus, from those network of capillaries, some of them are still needed because our body still needs water molecules, but not all of them indeed. As an extra information, let's notice that this process will be completed as the resulting filtrate passes through the distal convoluted tubule. And this is an extra information. It is not going to get involved inside the IGCSE past papers. It's not going to be in IGCSE. It's only as an extra information. And now secretion, the last part. Those capillaries that we talked about in the last part, known as reabsorption, are also known as the unfiltered blood. That means those capillaries, the blood inside those capillaries are still unfiltered. That means they are not filtered yet, since they weren't a part of the glomerulus. Therefore, they haven't been filtered yet. So in that case, the waste ions and the hydrogen ions inside that unfiltered blood will be transferred from the capillary to the tubule. So let's notice that secretion and reabsorption have opposite directions. As the process of secretion and reabsorption ends, that means they are going to be completed, the resulting substance will be collected in the collecting duct, the last part of a nephron, known as the urine. And now let's be more familiar with the nephron, or let's say in other words, the tubule. Nephron is the microscopic structural and functional units of the kidney. As you can see in the picture, all things that we talked about in this presentation, they are being included inside the nephron, known as the glomerulus, the Bowman's capsule, the renal tubule, with many kinds of names which they are not required for IGCSE. So you can memorize and understand them in details as an extra information. The urine formation takes place inside the nephron, which is known as the base structural and functional units of the kidney. As the urine is completely formed, it will go through the renal pelvis. After that, it goes through the ureter, and then it will be stored in the bladder until they go to the toilet, and finally goes through the urethra for being exerted. So that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Drop a comment, drop your reaction. Feel free to ask any educational questions that came to your mind. And also, don't forget to check out part number 1. So see you in our next video.